Hello, everyone, and welcome to Theology on Tap. And today I want to talk about marriage, a relationship between man and his wife, a wife and her man, her husband. And the reason why I want to talk about it is because I've been doing a lot of weddings lately, and when I do give marriage counseling. And one of the things I realize when I do a lot of marriage counseling is that that there's one particular point that I try to make, because I think it's very, very important, that a lot of people don't even think about, is that in the very beginning, when God created man, in the image of God, he created him, male and female, he created them. Now, we understand that there's a huge difference between male and female. Adam was created from the grounds up. Eve was taken out of Adam. So in marriage, you have this understanding about two individuals, male and female, coming together as one, two becoming one. It's a great way of understanding marriage, because in the beginning, there was only Adam. Eve was taken out. In marriage, they become one again. They become whole the way they was meant to be. But the thing that I want to talk about is that it was male and female, he created them. There's a huge difference between male and female. I know that we live in a society where we don't want to admit that. We want to blend male and female together. But I want to propose that the problem with a lot of the marriages in the relationship today is the fact that we try to blend in too much, I don't know if you hear too much about women trying to understand men, because there are books written about that. But the more focus is upon men understanding women. There are a lot more books about that, obviously. And there's even a saying, right, about men, is that you have to get in touch with your feminine side. And to a point, I could agree that it is important to understand women as much as we can, but that's an impossibility. There's no way you could truly understand the differences in gender. If it was that easy to understand, then we don't need to, have more books written about the subject. But every year, there's a lot more books that was written about it. So obviously, it is impossible for men to understand women and vice versa. But I want to point out the fact that men get scrutinized a lot more than women. You could take Weinstein as an example, the things going on. Like, he's a man, and others like him use their power and their position to take advantage of women. That is wrong, and everybody knows that. But the problem is, he gets blamed for what he has done just because he's a man. That's where I disagree with, because being a man is not a bad thing. Remember, it was male and female, he created them. So, there is this understanding in marriage where two becoming one means man has to have a better understanding of women, get in touch with the feminine side, and the woman has to know men to bring good to him. And, although that is very important, I don't know if that subject is touched upon in mainstream America. I don't know if it is. I think it should be. However, I want to say that the bigger problem than understanding one another in our gender is the fact that we have a harder time understanding, for a man, what it means to be male, and for the woman to have an understanding what it means to be female, especially in marriage. I think there is a confusion about that, because there's this understanding that two different gender coming together as one in marriage, and somehow you have to come up with a new understanding of relationship through it. And, so I want to use this as an example. When I do weddings and whatnot, a lot of people have this candle lighting ceremony, right? There is two candles that are lit, and one in the middle is not lit yet. And during the ceremony, each person, the husband and the wife, the man and his wife, grab one candlestick each and then light the one in the middle. That signifies the fact that two is becoming one. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. However, one thing that I don't like about that ceremony is that after the candle that is lit in the middle, what happens is that they blow out their own individual candle and it's put it back in, meaning that you're no longer an individual. You are now united. It's wonderful and whatnot, but one thing I don't like about that image is the fact that you are turning out your own light, right? So a lot of times we get confused, in my opinion, in that a man has to have a brand new understanding of what it means to be a man in a relationship with a wife and whatnot. But I think it's more important in order for a relationship to work is for a man to have a better understanding of what it means to be a man, and for the woman to really hold on to what it means to be a woman. Then you could have a better understanding or a better relationship. And I think that's very important, because this idea of two becoming one becomes so important to a point where you lose yourself in the relationship. You're letting go, and some people call it the sacrifice. And I don't really like the word sacrifice. And I mean, I think I made a video about that a long time ago. You could look that up. But this sacrifice, sometimes we sacrifice our manhood, and so that we lose our ability to really show who we are as a man. And I think that becomes a detrimental situation in marriage. I think in order for marriage to work out even better, I think man has to be even a stronger man, and a woman has to be, even stronger women, in order to come together as husband and wife and have a great relationship. Meaning there has to be still a separation between male and female, even though we're united. So, so when I read a lot of books or, things that are written about marriage, I happened to come across a long time ago. His name is Gibran. He wrote a book called Prophet. Man, do I highly recommend that book. Please read it. It's called The Prophet. And in it, Gibran talks about marriage. And this is what he said. And I agree with him 100%. He said this: let there be spaces in your togetherness. Let there be spaces. What a wonderful way of looking at marriage, in my opinion. And let the winds of the heavens dance between you. Love one another, but make not a bond of love. Let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your souls. Fill each other's cup, but drink not from one cup. Give one another your bread, but eat not from that same loaf. Sing and dance together and be joyous, but let each one of you be alone. Even as the strings of a lute are alone, though they quiver with the same music. Give your hearts, but not into each other's keeping. For only the hand of life can contain your hearts. And stand together, yet not too near together. For the pillars of the temple stand apart, and the oak tree and the cypress grow not in each other's shadows. Beautifully written. I think that really is one of the big keys in a relationship and having a successful marriage, right? Understand who you are. Be as strong of a man as you can be, and be as feminine and have understanding what it means to be a woman. And let them be alone, right? Let a man be man, let a woman be woman. So you're together, but let there be that space in that difference. I think that's a great advice. I like it. I think if people were to ask me about my marriage with my wife, because my wife, I think, is perfection. She is wonderful because she allows me as a man to be who I am as a person. And she trusts that me being who I am will be able to provide whatever, she may need. Am I perfect at it? Of course not. But that's the joy of relationship, isn't it? There's joy and sorrow. They belong together. And that's something else Gibran said. You cannot, joy is the absence of sorrow, and sorrow is the absence of joy. And sometimes we experience both of that, but they are one, right? So in the same way, male and female, we are separate, but still belong together in marriage, right? I hope that makes sense. It makes perfect sense to me. I guess if you're married and if you're having certain struggles, take a look at that. Are you allowing your husband to be the man, just allowing him to be who he is, give him some space in the sense for him to figure out what that means? Do you allow the woman to be the woman in the relationship and allowing her to be who she is as a woman, to be as perfect and, I guess, strong enough to be the woman in the relationship, right? That space in between, that is one of the keys of a successful marriage. Well, at least I think that's very, very important anyways. Hope that makes sense to you. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.